I've been using the HONOR Magic V3 foldable smartphone for the past 2 months as my daily device. How's that experience been, and would I recommend it above a regular smartphone like the HONOR Magic7 Pro, which I used previously, or even an iPhone, which was my phone before the HONOR Magic7 Pro? So let's get into it. First impressions. This was my first foldable phone, so I didn't know what to expect from the crease in the middle. It's kind of one of those things that you notice straight away, and it also kind of makes the phone feel cheap, which it most definitely isn't. However, once you actually start to use it a little bit, it disappears straight away and you don't notice it anymore. It's much more noticeable when you have nothing on the screen. You can feel it slightly, but it's definitely not bad. One of the first things you'll also notice is actually just how thin it is. It's not the thinnest anymore since the Oppo Find N5 has been released, but it's still among the thinnest both when opened and closed. It feels solid in the hand, however it flexes a bit in the hinge. And it's also a quite weird shape in the hand, with one side being straight and the other being curved. Though it's also nice to use without a cover, I really don't recommend using it without it, since it doesn't add that much more thickness to the device, and the way it bends around the hinge is just phenomenal. And then it just kind of protects your phone as well. I also find it extremely useful to always have a stand available all the time with the cover on. So definitely recommend to use the cover. Comparison. All this is nice and all, but how does it actually compare to something like a regular phone, such as the HONOR Magic7 Pro? First of all, the HONOR Magic7 Pro is newer than the V3 and has a Snapdragon 8 Elite chip inside, so performance and battery optimization will be slightly better on this phone compared to the V3, which has the previous chip, Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. But in daily use, you rarely ever notice a difference because both of the phones are extremely fast and snappy. The two areas where you'll really notice the compromises in the V3 a lot is in the face recognition and camera department, because here the Magic7 Pro simply is just way better. The HONOR Magic V3 only uses the front camera for face recognition, whereas the Magic7 Pro uses a separate 3D face recognition sensor that's way better at detecting you, and even does it in relatively poor lighting. This also makes it much more safe, which everyone likes. Since it isn't as good on the V3, I actually end up using the fingerprint sensor in the unlock button most of the time. Even though the Magic7 Pro also has a fingerprint sensor under the display, it's really not often you'll use it since the face recognition simply is that good, which is super nice. The cameras on the Magic7 Pro is also better simply because it has bigger sensors that can capture more light. So no matter what lens you use, the picture quality will be better with the Magic7 Pro compared to the V3. But the V3 has one feature that's extremely useful when it comes to cameras, because if you want to record yourself, you can actually open up the phone and flip the screen. So you can record yourself with the camera lenses that's usually on the back. It's a great way to get better quality selfies or videos of yourself. But yeah, in my opinion, a regular phone in general will probably win here still for a long time, since it simply is just hard to fit in a large and great sensor into this slim of a phone. But I can live with a little bit of a worse camera, since I often use production cameras or cameras like the Fujifilm X106 to take daily photos. But I also know that this is something most people wouldn't compromise on, so here the Magic7 Pro would be the best option for you. The HONOR Magic7 Pro also has some newer AI features integrated, but these aren't anything revolutionary yet, so it won't be a reason for why you should choose that. And well, Circle to Search and Gemini is also available on the Magic V3, so you won't miss out on those features here as well. Battery size and charging speed is also almost identical, with the Magic7 Pro being slightly faster and having a bit bigger battery and some better optimization. So in general, it lasts longer. The durability is always a big question with foldables, but nothing has happened to my device yet. But I could see that if you work in construction or just work with anything where you could get dust or dirt in between the displays, this simply isn't for you, because you'll get dead pixels all the time, because I don't think you can avoid getting something in between the foldable screens if you do that kind of work. The display of the V3 also lacks a bit brightness and color compared to the HONOR Magic 7 Pro, which is probably only something you'll notice if you have them next to each other, but it is noticeable. And the inner screen of the V3 is just a fingerprint magnet, so it'll look horrible when it's opened up and you don't have anything displayed on the screen. The outside screen ain't as bad, but inside it's really bad. The sound coming from the 7 Pro speakers are also just phenomenal compared to the V3s, which can't get as loud and also doesn't have the same almost surround sound like experience that the 7 Pro has. So keep that in mind as well. With the 7 Pro, you also have extremely thin bezels and a slightly curved screen on the edge of the display, which is something the V3 doesn't have, but I actually prefer a more straight design here anyway. In the hand, they feel almost identical since they are almost the exact same thickness when the V3 is closed, but the 7 Pro is a little bit larger all around. I can't speak directly on how the price is gonna look in other countries, but here in Denmark where I live, the price of the V3 and the 7 Pro is starting to become quite similar. So it's becoming more of a preference thing rather than just a foldable being way more expensive, which is both a good and a bad thing depending on who you are. The reason as for why I'm still leaning mostly to the foldable phone still, even though it has the worst overall specs, is actually because I found that it's super useful in a few scenarios to have a larger tablet-like display. So I don't mind compromising on some other aspects just to get a bigger screen. Especially when I have to show something to other people, if I want to watch content, have to get a better overview of a shot list on a shoot, write a message, or just doom scroll on social media. A larger display is just better in my opinion. But I will say that you do get more for your money with a regular styled phone like the HONOR Magic 7 Pro. But a foldable phone like the V3 is just a much more fun experience. And for a few people like myself, this is more useful. So for most people I would probably still recommend a normal phone, since I don't really believe that most people are willing to sacrifice on camera and sound quality, security, battery and performance at a slightly higher price tag as well, depending on how the phone's price is in your country. If a manufacturer like HONOR improves a lot of what I've mentioned that the 7 Pro has in this video and get on par with a regular style phone, then the debate really starts to shift, because this is really an amazing experience. But even though I myself will stick to the HONOR Magic V3, I'll probably still recommend most people to choose the HONOR Magic 7 Pro, because it simply is just more phone for your money. That's all I have for you today. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, if you liked the video, it would be amazing if you could leave a like and subscribe to the channel down below. See you in the next one. I'm out.